Hi everyone, this is Alloutdoor1 here. Today I'm just going to do a quick video, well relatively quick, on my woods kit. I've had a few requests recently to look at my woods EDC, and I suppose this is essentially my woods EDC. I'll always take this with me on any camping trips into the woodlands, any bushcrafting trips, and generally, you know, if I'm going out anywhere remote-ish. As I'm getting older, I'm definitely starting to appreciate the benefit of lightweight kit, so I do try and go for things that are both, you know, quite heavy duty and yet light at the same time. I'm trying to keep the kit as lightweight as possible. As far as weight is concerned, this weighs in at quite a considerable 2.5 kilos, basically 2 kilos 400 grams. So yeah, 2.5 kilos. It's not the lightest of kits. Usually I'd have this axe in my main rucksack, so I'm not having to carry so much on the shoulder. You know, this comes with a shoulder strap. The bag, by the way, is made by Snugpak. It's a shoulder pack. It's got quite well compartmentalized on the inside, so it gives you a lot of storage options. Obviously, in addition to this kit, I also have my sleeping stuff and my tent and clothing, food, etc. But this is essentially all the tools that I carry into the woods. I've been working on this kit for coming up to 6 years now. You know, I've been modifying things since I first kind of put it together, and for now it seems to be working really well for me. I haven't changed anything for about 6 months now, so I thought it's time to do an update, especially as a couple of people have requested it. So I think we'll start off with the main compartment back here. The zips seem to be working fine so far on this Snugpak. It's not the super toughest of packs, but it seems to be durable enough. I've had it for about a year now and used it on at least 15 trips plus, and so far it's not fraying, it's not breaking in any way. Just before we move on to that compartment, we'll just start off with the side here. Here we just have a thermometer, which is in Fahrenheit and Celsius, and also a decent compass. On here we also have my main flashlight. This is the ITP Illuma SA1. As you can see here, I've got a high-vis paracord attached to it in case I do drop it, and attached to this is a pretty decent whistle. This actually comes from the Bear Grylls fire steel, but yeah, it's very loud, piercing in fact, and you know, you can definitely make yourself heard in the woods. This is a great flashlight. I've had this for about 3 or 4 years now. It's really bright, 3 mode settings, including a strobe mode, which is always a nice touch, and obviously it has infinite beam adjustment, meaning you can set it to any level that you like and it will always come back on that level. Saves everything through memorization, through battery changes and everything. It's got a really good throw in it, about 150 meters. So yeah, now moving on to the main compartment. In here we have a Maxpedition barnacle pouch with tack ties, which basically as soon as I get onto location, this goes on my belt and gives me access to the stuff that I use most frequently, which is fire steel, military grade fire steel, nice fat one. Sends out a really good shower of sparks. Also we have an Opinel. I'll just lay everything out on the table one by one. Also have a windproof lighter, pretty decent one. I've had it for about 6 months now. It's lasting well. Also in here we have a zebra headlight, just really handy for, you know, setting up tents in the dark, etc., or for doing any kind of work where you need your hands free. Finally in here we have a nice little instrument. I think it's made by Victorinox and Rector. Obviously there's a compass there, liquid filled, which also has an air bubble in there, so it acts as a spirit level as well, and also has a thermometer and magnifying glass, so that's another fire lighting option there. The thermometer is always handy, so you know your mind's not tricking you as to what the temperature is, and you know, just for personal reference as well. So that's the contents of the barnacle, which, as I said, goes straight on my waist as soon as I go out into the woodlands. So next up we have my small wood axe. Just saves on your knife essentially, and obviously just makes wood splitting a lot easier. This is Wetterlings. It's made by Wetterlings. Small sized but perfect, and holds a really good edge. Yeah, there is a review of this somewhere on my channel. Yeah, I've gotten quite adept at using this now. Yeah, I'm quite good at with as far as wood splitting, wood prep, and you know, preparing steaks, stuff, you know, things along those lines. And actually, when it's sharpened, you can even do slightly finer work with it as well. Next up, now this is definitely an addition for cold weather, and in fact on my last trip out it actually saved me from having a really miserable night. And if I can find it here, yep, this is my beautiful Zippo hand warmer. Actually, on my recent camping trip, I was kind of in the middle of making a bushcraft shelter, and I thought I was going to do it in one trip, but it turned out to be a lot more time consuming than I thought it would be, partly because I got quite ambitious and tried to make it quite big, and second of all, you know, I didn't want to be cutting down live wood, so it was taking a long time to find all the right materials in the woodlands. But anyway, on this trip I accidentally managed to leave all my tent poles and tent pegs at home, so I had to kind of bushcraft the shelter together. And you know, obviously you lose quite a lot of warmth if you're not using a tent, but so basically this was a saviour. This is my Zippo hand warmer. You know, obviously I have to carry the petrol for it too, but this much petrol will easily last you a week or so. You know, having it on in your sleeping bag every night, and probably even through the daytime, you know, having this in your jacket just made such a difference. Obviously a pocket of warm air builds up and your body can kind of maintain heat from it quite nicely. So yeah, that's, you know, when it's cold, and I'm talking about, like, you know, when it's coming down to 0 degrees C, then I carry this with me, because my sleeping bag is actually rated down to -12, I believe, but once it gets to around 0, -5, you know, this definitely helps. That's a bit of luxury there. And obviously the lighter fluid also makes for a great fire starter. Takes a spark wonderfully. Next up we have a folding saw. I believe I paid about £8 for this one. I've had this for years. This is cut through tons and tons of wood, and it still works beautifully. I occasionally, you know, just straighten the teeth out, but requires very little maintenance. I don't even actually bother to oil it, and it's holding up really nicely. Very compact, you know, but really functional as well, and is just a lot less effort than stringing an axe, honestly. And obviously if you're tired sometimes swinging an axe doesn't feel very safe, whereas you know you're unlikely to do much damage to yourself using a saw. Next up, we have my tried and tested Toolkit F1. I love this knife. I've had it for a while now, and yeah, done tons of work with it. Holds an edge beautifully. Best knife I've owned so far. Yeah, great for splitting, carving, even skinning. Holds a practically razor sharp edge with a 600 grit paper, and is very easy to sharpen. Slightly, obviously due to the hardness, I think it's 62 HRC, so it's a slightly more brittle blade compared to a stainless steel knife, for example. But as soon as you start using it, you realise what a great knife this is. Yeah, so that's also my Toolkit F1. That actually usually rides in my zipped pocket. As you can see, I've got no belt attachment for it here. And that's empty. And final thing I have here is various lengths of cordage, including 550 paracord. That was also a saviour on my last camping trip, as it enabled me to quickly put up a shelter, a makeshift shelter. So yeah, I've definitely learnt on several occasions the benefits of carrying paracord with you, or some form of cordage, at a good length of it at least. And finally, in here we have two batteries. Two spare batteries, should I say. One is for my head torch, and the other is for my main ITP torch. Nothing in that compartment. As I said, I've just come back from a camping trip, so everything's not exactly in the right place it should be, but more or less. Next up, we have just my firebox, basically, which contains Vaseline, cotton pads, wet fire tinder, and usually some Esbit, but I've just used it recently for starting a fire, so we'll have to replace that. But you know, it's just a handy little tin, nice and compact, keeps everything in place, and that is essentially my fire tin. So yeah, as you can see with this bag here, there's a pouch, a mesh pouch here you can drop things into with a Velcro fastening, and then there's a zipper compartment behind it, and behind that there's a further zipper compartment, and this is essentially my the medical kit side of things, or my medical supply, should I say. And hygiene also. So first up, we have a toothbrush with toothpaste. You know, eating a lot of dried food whilst you're camping, you know, to save weight. You know, teeth can get quite gritty. You know, you want to keep your teeth clean, obviously, as you do anyway. Also in here, I've got some Savlon antiseptic spray. I've used that on plenty of occasions already. Little cuts and nicks, you know, stop them becoming infected. That's pretty handy to have, definitely. Next up in here, it's a sealed bag, which this bag can also hold 1.5 litres of water, sealed tight, and it won't spill. It's got a nice ziplock to it here, designed in fact to hold water. Inside here we have some neoprene bandages, and also some water purification tablets, and what's this? This is sorry, painkiller. What's the name of it now? It's like ibuprofen or something along those lines, just a generic painkiller, you know, for headaches or injuries more precisely. I suppose you could call this my trauma pack. You know, it contains bandages and, you know, just stuff to stop bleeding basically, and for dealing with cuts and wounds. Yeah, so I haven't had to use that out in the wild so far, but you never know. Yeah, next up we have a small tin, which is obviously extra mince chewing gum, but in here we have a sewing kit complete with several different threads and one very thick needle which can be used for leather working or for thicker materials, such as your rucksack if it gets damaged, or leather working, anything along those lines. Over here we have some duct tape, which is in a waterproof container, baggy. This also came in handy on my recent trip, as I noticed when it started lashing down with rain that there was a hole in my tarp, so I had to seal it up with duct tape. This is turning into a bit of a test now. It's actually started sleeting a little bit. Temperature's 3 degrees now. The wind's picking up and it's kind of a wet, sleety rain. So yes, the virtues of duct tape now become apparent, as I have a hole in this tarp somewhere, if I remember correctly. Yep, there it is. Yeah, and that could be leaking water onto my head all night long, so I'm just going to seal that up now. And I'm glad to say that it held nicely all night, and as a result I'll dry. Over here we have just a Sharpie, which is one of the retractable ones. Always nice to have a writing instrument. In here, attached by this cord that is part of the bag, is just my final kind of, you know, fire lighting kit, which is just a heavy duty aluminium match case with a striker on the outside, and it's just filled with strike anywhere matches, and this is just some tissue paper to keep them in place. Yeah, I prefer strike anywhere matches, as obviously you can just strike them anywhere, which is always a benefit. So yeah, that's always attached onto the bag itself. Next up we have a sort of another medical part of my kit, which, as you can see, it contains burn gel, tick tweezers, a mirror. Obviously if you've got something in your eye, you know, it helps with removing it, and other uses such as signalling. There's also a pen in here, which is a Write Anywhere zebra pen, and I've got some cotton buds for any purpose you care to think of, just secured with an elastic band just to keep things together. Yes, the tick tweezers have served me well on several occasions, unfortunately. Yeah, I got a few last year and they're horrible little buggers to get out. And finally we have another aluminium container, O-ring sealed, so it's waterproof. And that contains a couple of boiled sweets and various pills, including ibuprofen for pain. I've got some anti-diarrhea tablets, antihistamines for allergic reactions, and some water purification tablets, and a couple of others, all just in one neat solid container that is unlikely to get damaged, really. So as I said, this is just a quick overview of the kit, partly because I've had a few requests to see it, and also because I've got to a stage where I think it's a good kit. I'd appreciate any comments, yeah, what you'd recommend losing or adding, but as I said, for me this is working well, has been working well for a good while now, and you know, I'm comfortable using this kit. I think it contains all the essentials, including backups. Let's see, as far as blades are concerned, I've got the open L, my main knife, the fork knife, an axe and a saw. So that's a good array of cutting tools. You can do most medium-sized bushcraft projects with that. You know, you couldn't build a house with it, but you could definitely build shelters, make fires, you know, basketry, making a bed, anything along those lines, a grill. And obviously you've got your cordage there, which is a material that's difficult to replicate, or should I say difficult to replicate quickly in the wild. Luxuries here, obviously I've got the Zippo lighter fluid and the Zippo hand warmer. You know, long term that's not going to work, obviously, because you've only got a limited supply of the lighter fluid. Equally with the torches, you've only got a main battery in each, plus one spare for each. But ultimately, you'll find that after you spend a day or two in the wild, you know, you tend to go to bed relatively early anyway and get up early with the light. So you know, your dependency on artificial lighting definitely decreases. Alternatively to that, this zebra headlight here has a runtime of several weeks in very low mode. So, you know, if you really need a light and you use it frequently, then you've always have that option there. Equally with the ITP, that has a really good low run time, and you know, if it's a 72-hour job, then you're definitely okay. If you're awaiting rescue for, you know, 6 months or so, then, you know, you'll have to use it very infrequently. Emergency use only, essentially. Yes, you've got your toothbrush here. Obviously good dental hygiene will keep you in good stead. You'll be able to eat a wide variety of foods without any problems, and obviously you'll be less prone to infections. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, you've got some ways to clean wounds with this, and treat burns, cuts. You know, there's nothing. This isn't obviously a long-term kit. It's not designed for that purpose. This is just, you know, a kit that will make me feel comfortable being out in the woods in the middle of nowhere by myself for several days at a time, or even possibly weeks. Yes, so that's my woods EDC. A lot of these items I have reviewed on my channel somewhere else, so please search for the videos. They're all there. As always, comments, queries, always appreciated and always answered if I can. Yeah, I hope you guys found that interesting. That's my woods kit, or woodland toolkit, and this is Alloutdoor1 signing out for now. Take care.